In a small, charming house at the end of the village lived Buck the dog, a large and friendly dog with brown fur. Next to him, always ticklish and full of energy, was the kitten Meow, a small and playful kitten with snow-white fur, with big green eyes, a long and magnificent tail, always ready for an adventure. Meow was the exact opposite of Buck. Small, white, cheerful, and always full of ideas for new adventures. Every morning, while Buck enjoyed lying on the soft grass, Meow walked around looking for something interesting. That morning, as Buck rested with his eyes closed, Meowth hopped from flower to flower, trying to catch a yellow butterfly. Her paws barely touched the ground, and her tail swung in an exciting rhythm. "Buck, look how beautiful she is!" she exclaimed cheerfully. "Ah, Meow! Butterflies are always beautiful, but do you have to chase them so early?" Buck replied, lazily raising one eye. But suddenly, Meowth noticed something strange. In the middle of the meadow, far at the edge where the forest began, something flashed under the sun's rays. Meowth stiffened with curiosity. "What is that?" she whispered to herself. "Buck, come on, we've got to see that." "But Meow, can't it wait until noon?" Buck muttered as he slowly stood up and ran after the kitten who was already far away. Meow ran so fast that Buck could barely keep up. When they finally reached the edge of the forest, the two were left speechless. Before them stood a huge old gate made of wood, but not just any wood. The tree was alive. The barks moved as if breathing, and all around the gate were brilliant engravings of strange flowers and stars. Atop the gate gleamed a golden inscription that read, "Only the curious and brave may enter the enchanted garden." "A magical garden? I've never heard of that," said Buck, looking wide-eyed. "Buck, this is the most exciting thing I've ever seen." "Let's see what's on the other side," said Meow, with eyes full of excitement. Wait. "And what if it's dangerous?" asked Buck, always careful. Meow looked at him with her bright green eyes. "Buck, what adventures would we have if we weren't brave?" Buck sighed and finally agreed. Slowly, Meowth touched the gate with her paw. At that moment, something strange happened. The whole air around them was filled with a strange energy. The gate began to open on its own, with a sound reminiscent of old music. A light appeared from the other side that was so bright and captivating that Meowth and Buck had to close their eyes for a moment. When they finally looked, they gasped. A landscape that looked like something out of a fairy tale opened up before them. Huge trees with golden leaves, flowers that sang like little turtles, and the air smelled of honey and strawberries. The grass was soft as a pillow and the rivers shone like silver. Little fireflies flew everywhere, and butterflies had wings in the colors of the rainbow. "Buck, this is magical," said Meow, jumping around. Buck looked around in admiration, but remained cautious. "Meow, magic is nice, but maybe there are some secrets we don't know." Suddenly, a small fairy with shiny golden wings landed in front of them. She was as tall as Meowth's palm and shone like a star. "Welcome to the magic garden," said the fairy in a voice that sounded like bells. Meowth and Buck looked at her in disbelief. "I am Lily, the guide of this place. But know one thing. Everyone who enters here must show courage, love and friendship to discover the true magic of the garden." "Courage? Love? How is that?" asked Buck. "You'll see," Lily replied with a mysterious smile. With those words, she flew forward, leaving Meowth and Buck to follow. "Come on, Buck. The new adventure begins now," cried Meow, already running along the glowing path. "Ah, I'm always on your tail." Zrenia grumbling, Buck ran after her. And so the kitten and the dog stepped into the heart of the magic garden, ready for new challenges and discoveries that they could never have imagined. Meow, the cat, and Buck, the dog, ran along the luminous path, which wound through magical meadows, shining like diamonds. Everything around seemed alive. The flowers were singing soft melodies as their petals opened and closed, as if dancing in the wind. Golden-winged bats played among the trees, and large, crystal-clear ladybirds walked slowly among the leaves. Buck slowed his pace, looking around in disbelief. "Meow, this is so pretty, but doesn't it look too weird?" Meowth stopped and smiled at her wary friend. "Buck, sometimes you've got to enjoy the weird. That means it's magical." At that moment, a wide lake appeared in front of them, shining like a silver mirror surface. The water was so calm and clear that you could see the bottom, full of small, glowing pebbles in all the colors of the rainbow. Little balls of light flew over the lake, like tiny stars that had forgotten to return to the sky. "What is this place?" Buck asked, stopping on the shore. Suddenly, a small voice was heard from the water. "This is the Shining Lake, and if you're going to move on, you're going to have to solve a puzzle." Meowth and Buck stared at the lake in amazement. From its surface emerged what looked like a large, silvery fish with a glowing tail and eyes like two small moons. "I am Charlie, the keeper of the lake," said the fish. "Only those who solve my riddle can cross the lake and proceed to the heart of the enchanted garden." Meowth, always curious and up for a challenge, jumped forward. "Say the riddle, Charlie. I'm great at solving puzzles." Buck, not so confident in his skill with puzzles, sat down next to her and rested his head on his paws. "Meow, don't forget I'm here too, although I'm more into food puzzles." Charlie laughed and said, "Here's the riddle. I have no legs, but I always walk. No one can stop me, but everyone is watching me. What am I?" Meow squeezed her eyes shut and thought hard. Her paws were firmly on the ground, and her tail was wagging left and right. You have no legs, but you walk, and no one can stop you." Buck watched her think and said quietly, "Meow, maybe it's something flowing, like water, or the wind." Meow suddenly jumped. "I know! The answer is time." Charlie laughed widely, and the whole lake began to glow brighter. "Right, kitten. You are brave and smart. You can cross my lake." At the same moment, a rainbow bridge emerged from the water. It was transparent and glittering, and every step on it made music like bells. "Come on, Buck! We won!" Meow shouted and ran along the bridge. "Ah, yes! Your curiosity and my, presence always lead us forward," Buck replied, following her carefully. As they walked along the bridge, the water moved in magical patterns below them, and Charlie waved his glowing tail at them. On the other side of the lake, the path continued through a thick forest, where the trees were as tall as the clouds, their branches forming a tunnel of light and shadows. Strange noises could be heard in the distance, like soft voices calling to them. "Buck, do you feel that this place hides many more secrets?" Meow asked, looking excitedly over the forest. Buck nodded, but his heart was filled with a slight fear. "Yes, Meowth. But with you by my side, I know we'll handle anything." So the brave couple moved on, not knowing that their next adventure would lead them to a magical forest dweller who would show them what true friendship and trust means. After crossing the glittering body of water over the Rainbow Bridge, Meowth and Buck entered the dense, magical forest. This was no ordinary forest. The trees were as tall as the clouds, their leaves shining in shades of green, gold and silver. The sun barely penetrated the canopy, so the light created magical patterns of light on the ground. The rustle of leaves sounded like whispers. Meowth stopped and raised her ears. "Buck, are you hearing these strange noises?" Buck looked at her with wide eyes, his tail wagging nervously. "Yeah, and I don't like how it seems like someone is watching us." Suddenly, the branches in front of them opened as if pulled by an invisible hand, revealing a small circle in the forest. In its center stood a large, old oak tree with a hollow in the bark that resembled a face with closed eyes. An unusual silence reigned in the air, as if the whole forest was waiting for something to happen. "This doesn't look very welcoming," Buck whispered. Meow, full of courage and curiosity, approached the old oak tree. "Hello? Is there anyone here?" At the same moment, the ground began to shake, and a voice as deep as an echo through the mountains rang out through the forest. "Who is breaking my silence?" Meowth took a step back but wasn't scared. "I'm Meowth, and this is my friend Buck. We're exploring the Enchanted Garden." A light green glow began to emerge from the hollow of the oak as the tree slowly opened its face. His eyes flashed with green sparks like two springs full of life. "I am Dubar, the spirit of this forest. Those who come here must show their courage, wisdom, and love to move forward." Buck was shaking a little now, but he stood next to Meowth, not wanting to leave her alone. "And how can we show that courage and love?" he asked in a slightly frightened voice. Oak smiled slowly, and the leaves of the tree gently moved. "I'm going to give you a task. Someone in my forest is in trouble. If you can help him, you will earn my respect and move on to the heart of the garden." "Who's in trouble?" Meow asked, her eyes shining and her tail restless. Dubar whispered softly, his voice sounding like a song in the wind. "It's the little firefly. Her glow is fading because she has forgotten how to trust her own light. Only true friends can help her shine again." Buck looked at Meowth. "How are we going to help the firefly get her light back? We're not magical." Meow touched his paw with hers. "We don't have to be magical, Buck. We should just be friends." With determination, they made their way through the forest, following the path that Dubar had opened with a flick of his branches. The light around them grew darker until they reached a small hole under a large rock. A faint light came out of it like a small, flickering flashlight. "Look, Buck! It must be the little firefly." They approached carefully, and the firefly looked at them with sad, big eyes. Its light glow was barely visible. "Why are you here? I don't need anyone anymore." "My light has disappeared," she said in a weak voice. Meow gently approached her and said, "It's not true. We all carry light within us, even when we think it's not there. You just have to believe in yourself." Firefly sighed. "But how? I've tried everything, but I'm still a shadow of what I used to be." Buck came over and sat beside her. "You know, I sometimes feel like I can't do anything right either. But then my friend Meow tells me that being who I am is enough, her loyal friend." Meowth nodded with a smile. "Firefly, your light does not come from outside. It comes from the love you have for yourself and for others." The firefly began to blink faster. Her eyes widened and her faint glow began to grow stronger. Love for self and others? Really? At the same moment, her body shone like a small star. The whole forest lit up and the trees whispered joyful songs. The firefly's light is back, stronger and more beautiful than ever. You did it! You helped me get the light back. Meow and Buck laughed. Buck lifted the firefly gently to his nose and said, "There will always be someone who believes in you, even when you forget to believe in yourself." Just then, Dubar reappeared, his voice echoing through the forest. "Brave friends, you have proven your love and kindness. You may now proceed to the heart of the enchanted garden." The path opened before them, leading to even brighter, more beautiful landscapes. Meow and Buck moved forward, pursuing their next adventure with hearts full of joy. After crossing the magical forest and helping little Firefly regain her light, Meowth and Buck continued along the path that Dubar opened. This path was not like the previous ones. It glowed with a soft silver light, and every step they took left behind them sparkling traces like magic dust. "Look, Buck, this is amazing!" Meowth exclaimed, making little jumps as her tracks spread like a starry sky. "Yeah, but where does this lead us?" Buck asked, still carefully observing his surroundings. "To the heart of the garden, of course," Meow replied with a smile. "There we will surely discover the biggest secret of this place." As they walked, the surroundings began to change. The path took them to a beautiful meadow, where flowers were as big as they were, with petals that opened and closed as if they were breathing. Fireflies and small, winged creatures that looked like flower fairies floated in the air. A gentle music was heard, like the sound of thousands of little bells. In the middle of the meadow stood something special, a huge fountain made of pure crystal. The water in the fountain shone with all the colors of the rainbow and moved as if it were alive. "This must be the heart of the garden," Meowth exclaimed, approaching the fountain. "Look how it glows." Buck crept up slowly, looking around. "But what are we supposed to do here? This place seems to be holding some kind of secret." At that moment, the water from the fountain began to rise into the air and form a shape. The shape of a great, glowing figure of pure light. The figure spoke in a soft, melodious voice that sounded like an echo from a dream. "Welcome, travelers. You have reached the heart of the enchanted garden. Only those with pure hearts and true friendship can find this place." Meowth and Buck looked at the figure in awe. Meow ventured and asked, "What is the real secret of this place? Why is it so magical?" The light figure smiled and said, "That secret is not something that can be seen or touched. She lives in you, in your hearts." Buck cocked his head in confusion. "In us? What does that mean?" "The enchanted garden is a place that reflects the kindness and love of those who come here," the figure continued. "Her strength comes from true friends, from those who help, trust, and love unconditionally." Meow now understood. "That's why we found this place, because we help and love each other." Buck smiled and looked at Meowth. "Yes, and that's why we were able to help little Firefly. Together, we can do anything." The figure of light continued. "Anyone who finds this garden becomes its guardian and carries some of its magic with them. Are you ready to bring this gift into your world?" Meowth and Buck nodded at the same time. "Of course! We will spread kindness and friendship everywhere we go," said Meow confidently. At that moment, the water from the fountain swirled in a great whirlwind of light and magic. Sparkling drops touched Meowth and Buck, and they felt their hearts fill with warmth and light. You are true friends and heroes in this place. Return now to your world and share the magic of the enchanted garden. Gradually, the clearing began to disappear, and the glowing light grew stronger and stronger until everything was white. The bright light slowly faded, and Meowth and Buck found themselves back in their village. It was as if nothing had changed. The green hills were still there, the sky was blue and clear, and the wild flowers swayed gently in the wind. But something was different in Buck and Meow's hearts. They still carried the magic of the enchanted garden. "Buck, we're back!" Meowth exclaimed, jumping around her friend, her bright eyes full of excitement. Buck, still a little shaken from the miracle they had just experienced, just looked at her with a big smile. "Yes, Meowth, but I feel like we have something left. Like we're not ordinary anymore?" Meowth smiled and gave him an understanding look. "Because we're not ordinary, Buck. The garden gave us a gift. She made us guardians of her magic." They walked through the village and noticed something special. Wherever they went, life shone with new energy. The flowers were more beautiful than ever, and the animals in the village, from the smallest birds to the big horses, greeted them with happy sounds. The first ones they met were their little friends, Pippi the chicken and Skoko the rabbit. "This is not you," Pippi shouted, flying around them. "You look like heroes." "Tell us what happened. Where have you been?" added Skoko, who was jumping excitedly. Meow happily sat down on a rock, and Buck laid down calmly beside her like a big guardian. "Listen, friends," Meowth began. "We have found the magic garden." Meow and Buck recounted their incredible journey, how they crossed the magical forest, how they helped Dubar raise the doors, how they saved little Firefly, and how they discovered the heart of the garden. The little animals listened with admiration. Pippi could hardly stand it. And what was the garden's greatest secret? Then Buck stood up, proudly like a true hero, and said, "The biggest secret is that magic doesn't just live in the garden. She lives in us, in our friendship, and in the kindness we spread." Those words were so strong that they seemed to wake up the whole village. Word of the magic. Meow and Buck carried spread quickly. The children of the village started playing in the meadows, inspired by their story. The flowers looked even happier, as if they could feel the new energy. "Meow, look how happy everyone is," Buck said with a smile, sitting down under a large tree. "Yeah, Buck, we brought the magic here, but now they will keep it. We did something really important." Meow lay down next to him, and they both watched as the sun slowly set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The night brought new beauty. The stars were shining brighter than ever, and among them twinkled little lights, as if the fireflies from the magic garden had come to greet them. Meow and Buck were still together, as always. They both knew that their journey might be over, but the magic they carried would stay with them forever. "Good night, Meowth," said Buck, closing his eyes. "Good night, Buck. Sleep tight. A new adventure awaits us tomorrow." And while the world slept, in the heart of the village, the invisible heart of the magic garden still shone. In the kindness, in the dreams, and in the friendship of two best friends, Buck the dog and Meow the cat.